Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are going to be talking all about some book recommendations. These books that I have selected are books that are just really fun, they're really distracting, they are kind of like books that you could binge through. These are all books that I just could not put down when I was reading them. I decided to film a video that was like this with some of these recommendations because I mentioned on my Instagram a few days ago about how I was really struggling with reading lately with everything going on in the world right now. I just cannot get into a book. Every time I pick up a book, I'm just really distracted and I can't focus on it. My mind is elsewhere. And so some of you had mentioned you were feeling like that too, and a bunch of you recommended picking up either an old favorite or picking up something a little bit lighter than what I was currently reading, and that kind of inspired this video. And I just thought I would put out this video in case any of you are also struggling with that and maybe looking for some just really quick, fun, entertaining reads. So these are the books that you just don't really take seriously, but they're really fun and entertaining and you just can't put them down. So the first book I am going to recommend should come as no surprise because I constantly have been talking about it lately. I actually don't have the physical book with me. I actually lent it out to someone. So the first book in the series is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. This is the Curse Breakers series. I've talked about this so many times, so I'm going to try and go through it really quick. But like I have said about this book in the past, I could not put this book down. I could not stop reading it. It's just so fun and it is so entertaining. I really like that is a refreshed look at a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I really enjoy retellings anytime, but I particularly liked this take on it just because our main character, Harper, she struggles with cerebral palsy, and I just really like having that take on the book. I thought it was a really interesting element to add. The basic premise of the book, as I said, it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so I'm sure you're quite familiar with the story. But I do think that this one offers some uniqueness to it. The story follows Prince Ren, who was cursed to repeat one season of his 18th year until the curse could break by having a female fall in love with him. He only has one person left with him, who is Gray. He's like his head soldier guy, and he has to go into the real world, which is our world. And he takes a girl, brings her back to this fictional world of Emberfell, and Prince Ren has to try and get this girl to fall in love with him. The story takes off after Harper, our main character who lives in DC, catches Gray trying to take a girl, and she ends up getting taken instead. So she goes off to this fictional world. I thought it was kind of a unique take on it, and it was really fun to kind of see her adjust to the difference between a modern world and a high fantasy world. Also, the plot is just really captivating. It's a really entertaining read. It moves really quickly, and I think that it is a great book for this time of year if you need something to distract you. I find retellings are really great because you kind of already know the story a little bit, so you don't have to be as invested in the story, and you can just read for fun. And as I have mentioned before, I also really loved the sequel. In fact, I liked it more than the first one, so you can pick up this one as soon as you finish that one. There is going to be a third book that releases next year, but I think that the first two books are definitely worth it. So I don't know what it is about paranormal books, but I find that that genre in particular is really easy to get through. I find them really entertaining. I don't think they're the best books I've ever read, but they're just so fun. So I definitely had to include one on this list, and of course I'm going with the queen of paranormal romance, Jennifer L. Armentrout. So I am recommending the Lux series. This is a wind-up of the first two books in the series, but the first book is Obsidian. This book follows our main character, Katie. She has just moved to a very small town, and she is not happy about it. She meets her next door neighbors, and she immediately notices the male that lives next door, and she thinks he's very good looking. And then they start talking, and he's a huge jerk to her, of course. The story kind of develops from there, but the twist is that Damon is actually an alien. Turns out that there is another race of aliens that is the mortal enemy of Damon's race of alien. Once Katie and Damon start getting closer, then Katie is kind of a beacon to that, and so she's in danger, and the story kind of goes from there about how to keep her safe and the battle between these two races. And it just goes deeper and deeper as you get into the books. But it's really fun and enjoyable. It's highly entertaining and a lot of fun, and the angst is just everything. So I would definitely recommend checking out that series if you haven't already. I know it's a really popular series and it's quite a bit older, but it is still really fun. The next book I'm going to recommend is kind of an interesting one because I didn't actually enjoy the first book, but I ended up loving the rest of the series. And it is a very popular series. I know a lot of people love the entire thing. So I did want to recommend it because it is really fun and enjoyable, and their books are quite small, so you can just fly through them. And the series is complete now, so it's nice that you can just pick it up and binge through the entire thing. And the series I'm talking about is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So like I said, I didn't love the first book of this series. I had a really hard time kind of getting into it and getting into the world, and I didn't really connect with any of the characters, but I really, really enjoyed the second and third book. I would definitely recommend still giving it a try, not to mention it is an incredibly popular series in the book world, so I think it could be just me that had trouble with the first book. So this book follows our main character, Jude, and when she was 7, her parents were murdered, and she and her sisters were taken in from the mortal world into the Fey world to grow up. 10 years later is when the Cruel Prince book starts, and it is all about how Jude kind of wants a place in the court in the Fae world, and she just wants to be fully immersed in that world even though the Fae don't really accept her, and she kind of has to navigate how to be a part of that world. These Fae are like the traditional Fae where they are just ruthless. The court dynamics of it is just really fun and highly entertaining. So in this first book, Jude and Cardan are extreme enemies, and there are a lot of fun antics and pranks and tricks, and it's just all about Jude trying to find her place in court. She kind of has to navigate getting on the Fae's level of being sneaky and tricky to get her place. Court dynamics are just really fun. It's highly entertaining, and I would definitely recommend checking out the entire series, as I really enjoyed the second and third book of this series. I think they were really fun, and like I said, they're quite short, and I think you could fly through them. This next book I'm going to recommend is also an oldie but a goodie, and it is just so much fun. If you are a fan of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette or whatever, I would highly recommend checking out this book. It is like The Bachelorette meets a dystopian world, and that is The Selection by Kira Cass. This book was just so entertaining and so fun. So like I said, this book is reminiscent of The Bachelor in the fact that it is a competition where 35 girls compete to basically win the hand of the prince. And one of the contestants that is selected, which is our main character, America, she actually doesn't want to be a part of the competition, but she was selected anyways. But she has her whole life kind of planned out with her. She already has someone that she wants to be with, and she kind of knows where she wants her life to go. And then her whole life is turned upside down when she is selected for this competition and has to kind of compete in it, and she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be a part of it, but she ends up meeting the prince, and kind of the story goes from there. I just couldn't put it down. You kind of want to know what happens, and all the different like tasks that the girls have to do are really entertaining, and I really enjoyed the two main characters, especially the prince. I really liked getting a look at his character. I thought that he was really well done in the book, so I would definitely recommend checking this out, especially if you do like The Bachelor. I think it's just a lot of fun. For those of you who like morally gray characters, or anyone that is maybe like a villainous character, I think you would really enjoy this book, and that is The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. I would actually recommend any of Tricia Levenseller's books if you're looking for something really quick and fun. She has a really great selection of books. I have read all of her books so far, and I've enjoyed all of them. I think they're so much fun. She has a duology that's kind of about pirates, and then she also has Warrior of the Wild, which is a little bit Viking inspired, and then she has The Shadows Between Us. Follows her main character, Alessandra. So she has set her sights on the king. She is convinced that she's going to meet the king, she's going to make the king fall in love with her, and then she's going to kill the king and take over because she just wants all the power for herself. The first line of this book I think is just really like telling of kind of the style of the book, and that is, "They've never found the body of the first and only boy who broke my heart, and they never will." I really, really enjoyed this book. It's kind of a high fantasy inspired book, but there are definitely modern elements to it. They have electricity, there's some guns in it, and it's just like really fun. I really liked getting to know the Shadow King a lot more, and I really liked Alessandra's character. I couldn't put it down, I just needed to know how it was going to end. There's kind of a little bit of mystery going on because someone is trying to kill the king and you aren't really sure who. I thought it was really fun, and I really liked it because both characters, like I said, were kind of morally gray, where they did bad things but kind of for the right reason, and I liked that they complemented each other in that way, and it was really fun to read about two characters that were like that. So that's all my suggestions as far as fantasy books that I couldn't put down. Let's move on to some contemporary books that I couldn't put down, in case that's kind of what you're looking for. Because for me, lately I've been reading a lot more contemporary because I find it's really light and kind of fluffy and cute, and that's kind of what I've been in the mood for, especially with what's going on in the world outside of here. I find I just want something really, really fun and cute, and something that just makes me feel good, and contemporary has been doing that for me lately. So these are just a couple of suggestions that I have in that regard. So the first contemporary book I'm going to recommend is also a book I've talked about before, so I'm just going to go through really quickly, but that is Letters to the Lost. I actually recommended this book in my last video, so I'm not going to go too in detail about it, but basically this book follows our main character, Juliet, whose mother has just passed away, and the only way Juliet knows how to cope is by writing letters to her mother. This was something her and her mother did while her mom was still alive, as her mom was a photojournalist constantly traveling, and so they would communicate by sending letters to each other. So after her mother passes, Juliet doesn't know how to handle it, so she leaves letters on her mother's gravestone, and that was just a way for her kind of to work through her grief. And the letters are found by Declan, our other main character, who is actually doing community service at the cemetery. He reads one of her letters and he ends up responding to it. And he doesn't think anyone will ever see his response, but he just feels so connected to the letter that he feels like he needs to respond. So he does. She ends up seeing it, and then they end up kind of starting this letter exchange. They don't know who each other are, so that's really fun in that regard. This book, I would say, is less fun and cutesy, but it is really captivating and beautiful, and I couldn't put it down because I really wanted to know what happened, and it was very intriguing having them not know who the other person was, but you get both perspectives to see how they're interacting in real life, but not knowing that they're interacting with each other. Just think it was a really beautiful book all around. I will say this book made me a little bit emotional, so if you don't want something that is like more on the sad side, don't pick this one up quite yet, but I still found it really entertaining, and it really took my mind off everything that was going on in the world, so I would recommend it for that reason. Next book I'm going to recommend is another YA book. This is a book I read in January, and that is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This book is just really fun and really cute. What starts off as an epic Twitter battle between two food companies turns into something more, but I found that aspect of the book really fun. Not to mention, this book made me incredibly hungry because it talks about food in such great detail. The book is really fun. Like I said, it starts off with a Twitter battle. So our main character, Pepper, she has kind of taken over the Twitter account of her family's massive fast food company, Big League Burger. They are promoting the fact that they're just starting out selling grilled cheese sandwiches, and then it comes to light that they had allegedly stolen the recipe from a very small local deli. And the son that works at that deli, his name is Jack, he goes to Twitter to kind of tweet that their recipe was stolen by this giant thing, and it ends up going viral, and then they have this like Twitter battle. All the while, these two characters actually go to the same high school and interact every day, and it's just really fun to kind of see, kind of like I was talking about in Letters to the Lost, how they're like exchanging these forms of communication in one way, but also interacting in real life in another, but don't know that they know each other in the other scenario. And I just think that makes it really fun. This book especially was just really fun with the whole like food element and the Twitter exchange. It definitely goes beyond that. It deals a lot with family, which I thought was really nice. Just thought it was a really cute book overall. The last two books that I'm going to recommend that are contemporary are adult contemporary books. So these books are a little bit more mature, obviously. So if that is not your type of thing, these books are not recommended for you. I thought I would mention them in case they were something you were looking for. I thought they were really fun and cute, but please be aware that there is mature content in the books. The first book I'm going to recommend is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I would actually recommend any of Christina Lauren's books, although I haven't read her two most recent books. I'm hoping to pick those up soon, but any of her other book, I would definitely recommend. This one is my favorite one, along with Love and Other Words, which I also really enjoy. That one is definitely way more emotional, but it is a beautiful story, so you can definitely pick that one up too. But this one I thought was just really, really fun and really entertaining, and that's why I loved it so much. Hazel is quite the character. She's very unique, she's very quirky, she's a kindergarten teacher, she has a ton of pets, and she's just really fun, but not a lot of people kind of understand her. I think she's a little bit strange, and so she has a hard time connecting, she has a hard time dating other people, and she has been longtime friends with Josh, who is kind of the opposite of her. He's kind of put together, he has his life all in order, but his girlfriend was just cheating on him, and so Hazel and Josh, long-term friends, like I said, they start setting each other up for these dates, but they keep setting each other up for these awful dates, and then they come back and report, and it's this whole thing. It's a friends to lovers romance, which I personally really enjoy. I think it's really sweet and fun, and I really liked the two characters in this book. I really liked Hazel. I thought she was hilarious, and I liked all the pets. I really liked it. If you like friends to lovers, I would definitely recommend this one. It made me laugh out loud, which I think is definitely something we could need more of right now. And the last book I'm going to recommend is the Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams. I just recently picked this book up as well, and it was just like really fun and really cute. I thought the Bromance Book Club aspect of this was like definitely the best part of this book. So this book is about a group of men who are very prominent figures in Nashville. They're professional athletes, businessmen. Like I said, they're very prominent in the Nashville scene, but they're kind of having trouble with their relationships, so they form this book club where they read romance novels, and they call them guidebooks, and they're trying to teach themselves how to get better at relationships, how to understand women, and it's just really fun. This book follows Gavin, who is a professional baseball player whose wife and him are separating, and he's having a really hard time with it. He doesn't really understand, and there's a whole lot of lack of communication going on between them, and he wants to get her back. She's done with it, so he gets initiated into this bromance book club where they try and teach him how to be a better husband, how to be a better partner. I loved the book club aspect of this book. I thought it was really funny and really cute. There is also a lot of really great family elements. Gavin and his wife Thea are having problems, so we're talking about people who have already been together. It's kind of a little bit of a second chance romance as well, but they also have two twin girls, and I really liked that aspect about it, seeing all of the family moments together. This book was just highly entertaining. It also has a sequel that just came out last month, Undercover Bromance, which I also read and really enjoyed, and they have another one coming out later this fall. So it's a great time to pick it up if you're interested. Another fun aspect of this book is that, like I said, the Bromance Book Club reads romance novels. In this book in particular, they're reading a Regency romance. But the cool thing I liked about this is that they actually include snippets of the book that they're reading and how it kind of relates to what Gavin and Thea are going through, what he can learn from what he's reading. But I really liked the aspect that you get kind of a book within a book. You don't get the whole book, obviously, but you do get like snippets of it, and it's really fun to have that kind of element to it. That's only in the first book, it's not in the second book. That was just a really cute, light story, and like I said, I liked the family elements. The book club was very entertaining and really funny, so if you're looking for those kind of things, I would recommend this one. So that's it for all of my kind of binge-worthy books that I would recommend if you are having a hard time reading right now, if you want something just really light and fun. These are just really like entertaining books that I couldn't put down. So I hope you enjoyed that list. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below because I'd love to get more. Like I said, that's the kind of book I'm kind of leaning towards right now, so that's kind of what I want to read. So if you have a suggestion, let me know. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy watching it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already, I would love if you would subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.